30 years ago, monsters tore open the world and nothing was ever the same. From that chaos rose warriors wielding fire and ice, supernatural powers that turned the tide against creatures humanity had no right to survive. And once the monsters were tamed, humanity did what it always does. It turned the battlefield into a sport. Welcome to the age of the Hunters League. The Hunters League, the most electrifying competition on the planet. The arena roars, the crowd is deafening, and somewhere in that chaos, a man in a suit grips his handgun as a creature charges. But beneath the spectacle, something darker is brewing. Social media buzzes with contempt for a player named Changhyeon, calling him a cash guzzler, a disappointment. The cracks are already showing. Newspaper headlines scream Changhyeon Lee's defeat across the city. The prodigy humbled. He stands in a darkened space, his hoodie hanging off his shoulders, eyes wide with disbelief as he processes how 2 broken seasons erased everything he built. In a bright office, a man in a gray suit leans back with a quiet smirk, speaking to a colleague. Whatever he's saying, it isn't good news for Changhyeon. The words land like a blade. This season might be his last. Changhyeon recoils, stunned, then furious. They won't even say it outright. Instead, they hide behind euphemisms about responsibility, about the president's intentions, about how he can't do this forever. He wishes they'd just told him to leave the team. At least that would be honest. An explosion ignites behind the words, as if the world itself reflects his inner chaos. Changhyeon can't believe it. His own manager wants to make him a figurehead, a symbol, not a player. He explodes with rage, and the room erupts with it, crashes, shouts, confrontation. A man in a suit lunges forward. Another tries to leave. Changhyeon refuses to hear another word, and as he turns away, the bitterness between them fills the air like smoke that won't clear. A voice shouts for him to freeze, and Changhyeon stops dead in a dim corridor backstage. He turns, confused, as footsteps pound behind him. A younger man rushes toward him, disheveled and desperate, and then a hand grabs him roughly. The confrontation is raw, trembling, visceral. Do you understand how serious this is? The words cut deep. Someone here feels utterly betrayed. A glowing lotus blooms on screen, the full bloom ability, a power that enhances talent and rank over time. But for Changhyeon, it's become a cage. He faces a suited figure, desperation bleeding through his voice as he insists he was only trying to help. Then a fist connects. A crash follows. His hands are trembling, his eyes are hollow, and his voice, barely above a whisper, accepts the worst truth. It's all his fault. He walks the city streets feeling worthless. Every trophy he's held, every match he's won, all of it suddenly meaningless. Beside a man in a white jacket and a woman in a stylish coat, Changhyeon moves like a ghost through neon-lit streets, the weight of his failures pressing down with every step. He tells himself he has no room for improvement anymore. And in that moment, he believes it. Alone under a streetlight, Changhyeon stares into the distance. His full bloom, the power that was supposed to make him legendary, has become the very thing blocking his path forward. A warning symbol glows red behind him. A truck rolls slowly into frame, headlights cutting through the dark. And then the question forms in his mind, quiet, devastating, whether there's any reason to continue living at all. He doesn't move. The truck marked danger is already closing in, and Changhyeon Lee just stands there. Energy bursts erupt in blinding blue and white as the world convulses around him. The sound of impact thunders through the scene, crash, blast, thump, and somewhere beneath it all, a single thought echoes. He doesn't see the point anymore. Fire surrounds him. Changhyeon Lee lies in the wreckage, face bruised, chest heaving, barely able to draw breath. He's not gone yet, but barely here. Through the smoke and the agony, he reaches for something he can't name. Not death. Something else. His eyes fall to a ring on his hand, glinting through the chaos like the last ember of a life that wasn't finished yet. In the final seconds, his mind breaks open with memory. A crowd screaming his name. Confetti raining down. His team beside him, triumphant and alive. He wanted that again just once more, to stand in that light with people he trusted. But now a wounded figure bleeds out in the dark, and a voice from somewhere beyond whispers the name of a life left behind. And then he wakes up. His childhood bedroom. Familiar posters on the walls, morning light through the blinds. Changhyeon looks in the mirror and nearly loses his mind. He's looking at his middle school face staring back at him. His mother's voice comes through the door, younger than he remembers. Confused, trembling, he starts to understand the impossible. He's gone back, all the way back. His mother stands in the doorway, asking if everything is all right, and Changhyeon can barely answer. But beneath the shock, something shifts. His hand clenches, his jaw sets. A quiet determination ignites behind his eyes as he tells himself he's back, back to the moment before it all went wrong. This time, he will prove himself differently. A sterile, high-tech facility hums around him as Changhyeon undergoes the awareness test, state-of-the-art equipment analyzing every fiber of his physical potential. But the test cannot measure skill. It never could. And then, from his hands, raw energy surges with a blinding SHEAA, lighting up the room. Whatever was dormant inside him, it's waking up. While others guess blindly at their powers, Changhyeon already knows his secret weapon, the all-seeing eye. A red flash blazes from his eye, a mark of something extraordinary. He checks his holographic interface and finds his full-bloom skill reset to rank E. Another man might despair at starting over. But Changhyeon smiles. Skills can be leveled up. He's done it before. He'll do it again, faster this time. Changhyeon sits on his bed, thinking through the challenges of adapting to a younger body and resetting skills. But the bigger obstacle speaks from across the room, a young man and woman debating whether he should even be watched for a full year before anyone invests in his dream. His mother doesn't want him to become a hunter. 1 year wasted. Is 1 year Changhyeon simply cannot afford. He doesn't have time for a year. In a single season, players can compete in dozens of matches, improve dramatically. Changhyeon grips the doorknob with white-knuckled certainty and swings it open. He faces his mother with fire in his eyes and makes her a promise. 6 months. Give him 6 months and he will prove everything. She looks back at him, stunned, but he isn't asking. At the testing facility, Changhyeon is all energy and focus, punching his fist into his palm with the swagger of someone who already knows what he's capable of. His mother insists she's serious, and he insists right back. He'll show her. But then reality bites. He's a minor. He can't enter the facility without guardian approval. His jaw tightens. He did not travel back through time to be stopped by a signature line. A cheerful voice cuts through his frustration, Dajin Kim, a well-known awakened student from the next class, bouncing over with a bright smile and zero situational awareness. Changhyeon doesn't recognize him at first, which throws Dajin completely off. Their exchange is awkward, charged with curiosity, but there's something useful about a boy who has free access to the academy's training facilities. Dajin, all enthusiasm and zero restraint, offers Changhyeon access to the Academy Youth Club in exchange for watching him train. Changhyeon doesn't even hesitate. Sure, nothing is ever free, and he knows that better than anyone. A staff member nearby points them toward room 3, and just like that, a door opens literally and figuratively for Changhyeon's comeback to begin. As Changhyeon ties his shoes in the training facility, the two fall into honest conversation. Dajin admits he's in the academy club but feels out of place among the older hunters preparing for the league. Changhyeon doesn't reveal everything, just that he's working on basic skills. But the subtext is clear. Two young men, both chasing something bigger than themselves, both quietly terrified they aren't enough yet. In the sleek blue glow of the testing facility, Changhyeon confirms settings on a holographic console with a quiet tap. Then, energy surges. A tanker clone begins to materialize before him, massive and imposing. Dajin watches from a distance, visibly nervous. Changhyeon processes the sight with calculated calm. Think of it like a training dummy in a video game, he tells himself. A very large, very dangerous training dummy. The futuristic training room hums with energy as a figure in a sleek blue suit raises one hand, and a glowing trail of power follows. This is no ordinary sparring setup. The holographic display flashes a warning about the tanker clone's defense stats, and the implication is chilling. Whatever Changhyeon is about to face in this facility, it was built to push hunters to their absolute limit. Changhyeon and his dark-haired companion square off against a glowing transparent sword in the training area, banter flying between them. The other boy insists punching bags are supposed to be tough, impossible to dent. Changhyeon smirks and says that might not apply to him. An armored figure watches nearby with cool amusement. It's a challenge wrapped in a joke, and Changhyeon is already calculating how to win it. Changhyeon articulates his approach with the precision of someone who's fought at the highest level. To overcome something tough, you strike it with something harder and stronger. Simple. But he also admits he can't do that yet. Not in this body, not at this level. So instead, he targets weak points. With a FWOOM and a crack, he executes his technique, spinning, precise, and devastatingly focused. Changhyeon settles into his stance with quiet confidence. His body is responding, his control is returning. He activates the all-seeing eye, and the world sharpens around him. A luminous blue sword materializes in his grip. Then he explodes forward in a burst of speed, the facility crackling with energy behind him. This is the moment where a boy stops warming up and starts becoming dangerous again. Against holographic training dummies, Changhyeon moves like a storm, crack, split, crash, each hit more devastating than the last. The observer in the blue suit watches from a distance, shaking his head in disbelief. He should have recorded that. It's impressive by any standard, but Changhyeon isn't performing for anyone. He's recalibrating, testing the limits of what this younger body can already do. The mood softens as Changhyeon, now in his black combat suit, glowing sword in hand, laughs with Dajun, a platinum-haired boy in a white shirt who teases him about his defense stats being rock bottom. They banter easily, their dynamic warm and genuine. Dajun wants to try the sword himself before their team session, and when the blade swings with a loud clang, both boys are breathing hard, smiling too. But Dajun isn't smiling anymore. In front of the holographic interface, his tousled blonde hair damp with sweat, he grips the control panel in rising frustration. The tanker clone isn't responding the way it should, even on lowest defense settings. The undone of impending consequence fills the room, and as he raises a tool overhead with a desperate expression, the blue-haired clone stares back at him, utterly unmoved. Changhyeon wipes sweat from his brow, muttering that he must have configured something wrong. The clone isn't taking damage. Before he can troubleshoot, a tall, dark-haired figure appears in the doorway with an easy, dangerous confidence. He asks if Changhyeon isn't going to greet his senior. The city skyline gleams behind him through the facility's wide windows. This newcomer carries himself like someone used to being obeyed. The tension breaks into something lighter as Dajun greets Jisoo with an eager bow and a cheerful grin. Jisoo, dark-haired and casually dressed, studies the tanker clone with barely concealed amusement. He tells Dajun plainly, "Nobody warms up on a tanker clone. You won't dent it even at the lowest defense settings." Dajun laughs it off. Jisoo doesn't quite laugh, but there's a warmth in his mockery that suggests these two know each other well. Back in his black combat suit, Changhyeon stares out the window and says it plainly. He's too weak. The training facility reception area hums quietly behind him, a professional attendant at her desk, utterly unaware of the war happening inside his head. He's run the calculations. Against the tanker clone, against what the League will demand of him, he cannot yet deliver what he needs to, and that fact rattles him to his core. On the subway home, Changhyeon stares at his phone in quiet frustration. He can't access the Hunter Center without club membership or parental permission. The walls are closing in before he's even started. He needs somewhere to train alone. Then his phone buzzes, Dajun Kim calling, cheerfully inviting him to dinner. He answers with a cautious hum. Whatever Dajun wants. It might be exactly the opening Changhyeon needs. At the best hangover soup eatery, Changhyeon, now showing up in his lighter-haired, earlier timeline appearance, waves across the warm room with a carefree grin. His dark-haired friend sits at a table, already deep in a serious topic. Becoming a hunter isn't viable unless your family has money. Changhyeon nods along, though somewhere behind those easy eyes, he's quietly calculating how to build a future without either advantage. The conversation shifts when Dajun admits dinner was just an excuse. He has a real question, and it's about the tanker clone. Jisoo immediately reads the situation, asking with quiet precision whether Dajun is having trouble configuring it. A holographic image of a blue humanoid figure flickers into view as the exchange takes a technical turn. Beneath Dajun's cheerful exterior, there's genuine frustration, and Jisoo's eyes are already working through a solution. In the cafeteria, Changhyeon sits apart from two laughing boys, one with dirty blonde hair, one with a mohawk, as they retell their wild training stories. He sips from his glass, a quiet smirk on his face. Their story involves someone trying to destroy a tanker clone with a katana, and the sheer absurdity of it briefly cuts through the weight on Changhyeon's chest. But the glass hits the table with a thump, and the thoughts rush back. A confident dark-haired figure demonstrates the trick to the tanker clone configuration. It's easy once you know how, he says with a smug grin. But his smugness turns toxic fast. He glances at Changhyeon with a sneer, questioning whether his friend paid his way into the academy. The room crackles. Changhyeon doesn't look away, and the stomp of boots on the floor announces that someone's patience has just run completely dry. Changhyeon laughs at his friend's dramatic phrasing. "You sound like you're in a bad movie," he teases. For a moment the eatery is warm and ordinary. Then a crash rips through the air. Rattle, crash. Shocked expressions snap toward the noise, and someone screams a name, Jisoo. The playful evening detonates into something far more urgent, and Changhyeon's easy smile vanishes instantly. Jisoo is surrounded. 3 aggressive peers close in on him in the training area, one already bleeding on the floor, which means this started before anyone was watching. Jisoo mutters a pained clearly overwhelmed. The ringleader leans back with a vicious smirk, declaring he never turns down an opportunity to strike first. Jisoo fires back with controlled defiance. "You're not his senior, you're just a stranger." The aggressor's expression darkens, and then the fist swings. The confrontation ignites. The blonde boy in white and blue snaps, throwing a punch that connects with a thunderous POW. The dark-haired antagonist staggers, genuinely stunned. For half a second he just stands there, clutching his side. Then the smirk returns, grim and promising, because being hit once doesn't scare this one, it just makes him dangerous. Changhyeon's all-seeing eye fires a warning the moment a figure activates a holographic tool, and the surge of energy that follows is catastrophic. VWOOM. Kaboom! The floor shatters. A terrified scream pierces the chaos. Changhyeon's eyes blaze red as he processes the incoming threat at impossible speed. Is that a gravity attack? He barely has time to finish the thought before the explosion swallows the room. In the packed eatery, Changhyeon summons ethereal purple energy from his outstretched hand, SHEHEA, eyes sharp, every civilian in the room suddenly a liability. He shouts a warning, there are people everywhere, they need to move now. Then the first explosion hits BODOM and debris flies. Then a second crash. Changhyeon is already moving, because standing still in chaos is how people get killed. Jisoo faces down a spiky-haired figure who grins like he's already won. "You're dead," he says, and means it. But someone's already moving to intervene. A boy in a white shirt channels purple energy between his palms, power building to a blinding glow. The training ground is littered with scattered equipment. SHA, FWOOM, Doom. The sounds stack like a drum roll. Something enormous is about to break loose. Changhyeon launches himself across the cafeteria with a blast, red eyes burning with focus. But the moment he lands, the problem becomes clear. His all-seeing eye lets him dodge anything coming at him, but closing the distance to his opponent. Different story entirely. He lands hard, mutters a quiet "fine," and reaches down to grab a plate off the floor. Sometimes the most dangerous weapon in the room is the one nobody expects. A suited figure with brown hair makes his move, a shwoom of energy, a well-timed toss, and suddenly the dynamic of the fight shifts entirely. The black-haired opponent's eyes go wide. Freeze. The suited man's expression carries a sly, knowing grin as a swirling energy sphere forms in his hands, vibrant, controlled, and utterly in command. He's not reacting to this fight. He's running it. Changhyeon gloats for exactly 1 second. Did you really think that would work against me? Before a plate smashes directly into his face. Guh. He staggers, shocked, sauce dripping down his expression of pure indignation. His friend, dark-haired and utterly merciless, tells him plainly he should have dodged. Changhyeon hurls a plate right back. Shwdo. The eatery has officially become a battlefield, and neither of them is done. Jisu's power flares around his hand, Whizz Shwo, but the spiky-haired aggressor is already ahead of him, grinning as he announces another strike incoming. Jisu realizes it too late. He can't use his skill without leaving himself completely exposed. Whack! The hit lands and Jisu cries out in pain. In a dim, cavernous room, the fight is slipping away from him, and there's no one close enough to help in time. Across the wrecked cafeteria, a dark-haired boy in white and blue joggers spins in frantic circles. Where did his opponent go? Then the warning comes from nowhere. Heads. He barely processes the word before the fist hammers into him. Wham! And instinct alone saves him from the worst of it as he twists and runs, the chase exploding back to life through scattered food and broken furniture. He can't take another hit, but another hit is exactly what comes. Wham! Guh. The impact sends him crashing to the floor amid shattered dishes and overturned furniture, a defeated heap in the wreckage of what was supposed to be a simple dinner. He lies there gasping, eyes wide, completely spent. And standing over him, the aggressor isn't done, not by a long shot. What happens next may change everything. Changhyeon stands over his fallen opponent, chest heaving, surrounded by the wreckage of shattered plates and splattered food. He looks around at the chaos, the overturned chairs, the ruined eatery, and his expression flickers between guilt and defiance. Sure, he hit first. Sure, the other guy is the one on the ground, but technically, he didn't wreck the place. Right. The situation just got a whole lot worse. Dajun is gone, the aggressor's friends have vanished, and now police sirens are wailing outside. Changhyeon's mind races. He has no good options here. Then he makes a split-second decision, and a moment later, the other boy gets doused with water, sputtering in shock and confusion. Desperate times call for desperate measures. The scene is devastating. In the dim cafeteria, the unconscious boy lies still amid broken plates and a spreading pool of blood, and when the light-haired boy kneels beside him, his face goes from shock to pure, white-hot rage in an instant. He screams for an officer. His voice breaks. This isn't a prank anymore, this is real, and it's bad. On the floor, curled up and trembling, one boy begs for it to stop, a masterclass in fear, or perhaps something else entirely. A police officer looms over him, stun gun raised, barking orders. But in the private theater of his own mind, the smirking figure already knows he's won. He fooled the police. He faced zero repercussions. And Jisu, he suspects, told them nothing either. Cut to a high-tech training facility, humming with futuristic energy. Changhyeon stands confidently, twirling a long pole-like weapon, completely unbothered. His blonde companion looks ready to collapse from exhaustion, asking, almost begging, for a break. Changhyeon's answer is immediate and flat. There's no time. A holographic figure glows in the background, and Changhyeon is already back at it. Something new is awakening inside Changhyeon. He grips a glowing, translucent weapon and reads the digital interface hovering above, full bloom, not yet activated. The system explains it plainly. Complete a notable feat, unlock a brand new skill. Changhyeon doesn't hesitate. He explodes forward with a shout, weapon slicing through the air, and the whole arena seems to hold its breath. Changhyeon's mind drifts back to the moment he gained it, a skill he never once encountered in his past life. He almost laughs at himself. Of all the feats that could trigger an awakening, he didn't expect that one to count. The skill's secondary effect is almost poetic. It makes people think he's strange. He could live with that. Meanwhile, across the cafeteria table, two friends debate whether to chase a hunter audition survival show, and one of them is deadly serious about it. The show has a name now: Hunters, the Next Generation, a televised competition designed to discover the next great hunter. One boy is skeptical. A TV show means brutal competition. But his companion fires back without hesitation. You can't succeed if you never take a chance. And the prize? Win the competition and you earn a guaranteed academy spot or even a choice placement on a Division III team. The stakes are very, very real. Changhyeon Lee, bright-eyed, green-eyed, practically vibrating with determination, slaps his chopsticks down and declares he's going to give it everything. His companion teases him not to come crying when he fails. But as the dinner table is laid out before them, the Hunters League season rankings glow on a screen nearby. This isn't just a casual ambition. The incentives for top performers are enormous, even for those who don't finish first. Changhyeon tells his parents not to worry, his voice calm, his smile easy. He won't lose to amateurs, that much is certain in his mind. The flash of a glowing trophy confirms what he's already picturing, the win. But in a sleek conference room elsewhere, two suited figures are already discussing the flood of incoming applications, their expressions measured. Something larger is already in motion. Behind the scenes of Hunters, the Next Generation, Judge Ara-jo and Min-seok Lee are already sparring verbally. Ara presses Min-seok on why he changed his mind about judging, and he admits his international success gave him a new perspective. But it's the debate about hidden gems versus obvious stars that really gets heated. Ara invokes a candidate named Ethan, insisting Min-seok hasn't seen anything yet. Min-seok shrugs it off. The votes are what matter, he says. For now. Changhyeon sits at his desk, staring at the competition registration page, and then comes the gut punch. The first round is a written test. He blinks. A written test for a hunter competition. He scrolls to the next question, and it's even worse. Describe difficulties you faced in a group setting. His mind immediately flashes back to his past life where his teammates obeyed him, no matter what. That's not exactly the answer they're looking for. Changhyeon gulps his drink and stares at the screen, anxiety creeping in. He figured once he was inside the competition, it would be smooth sailing. He hadn't anticipated this kind of hurdle. If there's a practical test later, he can compensate. But this? Then something on the screen catches his eye. A small detail. A clue, maybe. He leans in and nearly tips backward in surprise at what he finds. The written test is behind him now, and what lies ahead is something Changhyeon was born for. A practical test inside a bright, grid-pattern training facility. Survive waves of clones for 3 minutes. A weapon materializes in his hand, shaped entirely by his imagination. A shimmering, translucent pistol. He stares at it for a half-second. Then his whole demeanor shifts, eyes sharp, posture locked, boots hitting the floor with purpose. Min-seok Lee steps into his own practical test, dual pistols in hand, and Ara-jo is already skeptical. Guns and skills don't mix well, she notes. Min-seok barely reacts, his tousled hair framing a face of absolute focus. The test begins. Red blazes through his eyes. The clack of the pistol, and then bang, fast, relentless, unwilling to slow down for anyone. Inside the control room, a dark-haired woman in a blue uniform slams her hand on the table hard enough to rattle the furniture. The test is broken, she argues. Anyone with a gun could drop those clones. It's an unfair advantage. One of her colleagues lies on the floor surrounded by papers, utterly unbothered, which only makes her angrier. The debate escalates. This isn't what the test was designed for, and someone needs to answer for it. The argument continues, and the technical explanation lands like a splash of cold water. Guns aren't reliable weapons for hunters precisely because once a weapon separates from the user's body, it dissipates. Mana can't sustain a firearm at range the way it can a sword or polearm. That's why most hunters default to blades. So the question becomes, How exactly did this candidate make it work? And is it genuine skill or something else entirely? A man in a white coat cuts through the frustration with something quieter: instinct. Sometimes being unconventional is brave. Sometimes it's just a mistake. But he feels the candidate has something real, something worth watching. Across the room, Jinseok echoes the sentiment with enough passion to nearly shout the name Minseok aloud. Even the skeptics are starting to lean in. Elsewhere in the facility, the bang of gunfire continues, unanswered. Minseok Lee stands in the testing facility reviewing his own choices. He shakes his head, dual pistols with a skill system that doesn't support them. No, he tells himself, that's impossible. And yet, a small part of him wonders, what if he tried just one? His expression softens into something rare, genuine uncertainty. Then quietly, a small smile. Maybe being wrong would be the most interesting outcome of all. Back in a quiet room, the conversation returns to Jisoo. Someone lays out what happened: injuries, the fight, the strange circumstances. The light-haired young man listens carefully, weighing the facts. Jisoo's hand-to-hand combat isn't impressive, he admits, but that skill is something else entirely. It's incredibly powerful. And then, almost as a way to cut the tension, the conversation shifts. He mentions he's applied to a hunter show. He might be very busy very soon. The blond young man makes his exit, bowing slightly and offering a farewell that feels almost too casual for the weight of everything swirling around them. The man at the desk watches him go, and then a slow, mischievous smirk spreads across his face. He glances at his phone, taps it once. Things, he decides, are getting very interesting, especially with Jisoo about to step into the spotlight of a show like this. Outside, a young man walks toward the Hunter the Next Generation main stadium, tousled dark hair, dark blue jacket with gray accents, eyes tilted upward with quiet anticipation. He hasn't been here in a long time, but he knows this place. Every brick, every corner. This is where it began for him the first time around. And now, stepping through those gates again, something ancient and determined stirs behind his eyes. Inside, a narrator lays out the structure of the Hunters League: 3 divisions, separated by tier and stakes. Division 1 fights inside a tower. Divisions 2 and 3 compete in virtual reality stadiums. Minseok Lee stands amid it all in his blue and black jacket, snorting softly at a memory, back when judging roles weren't crowded, back when he wouldn't have minded stepping in. Times have changed. In a vast, dimly lit venue packed with silhouettes and soft light, Hyeju sits composed among the audience, blonde hair, sleeveless black top, white jacket draped loosely over her shoulders. Beside her, Changhyeon watches the crowd with quiet concern. The competition's sheer scale is staggering. Hyeju admits she wouldn't even know where to look. Then she turns and asks the one question everyone is thinking: who won? Changhyeon leans back with the easy confidence of someone who already knows how this ends. It'll be him this time, he says, simple as that. But beneath the surface of the casual conversation, something heavier surfaces. Jisoo has been placed on probation, a 3-week recovery ahead of him. Changhyeon mentions it quietly, almost in passing. The indoor venue hums around them, but for a moment, the room feels very small. Whispers ripple through the crowd at the Hunter the Next Generation main stadium. A boy with goggles turns his head. He's heard the rumors, but the main character is apparently here in the flesh. No choice but to impress the pro teams watching from the shadows. Smoke floods the arena floor with a thunderous poof, and through the haze, the host strides forward, suit sharp, microphone gleaming, and his voice tears through the noise like a signal flare. The host throws his arms wide and the stadium erupts. Welcome, he declares, to the most spectacular show on Earth, the hunt for the greatest hunter of the next generation. Every contestant in that arena has already defeated the odds, clawing through a 2% acceptance rate to stand here. A blond boy in blue and white beams at the audience. A dark-haired man in a black jacket watches in silence. The show has officially begun. 3 judges take their seats as the host introduces them one by one. Ara-jo, 3 National League victories, a force in Korea's Hunters League, radiates confidence in her fitted teal jacket. Minseok Lee waves casually, friendly and unassuming, and Sehyuk Min sits quietly, buttoned up, serious. The crowd buzzes with surprise at Minseok's presence. Apparently not everyone expected him to show up. They should have. Changhyeon watches from the sidelines, goggles pushed to his forehead, the ghost of a smile on his face. He doesn't say it aloud, but his thoughts are clear. He wouldn't have lost to either of those judges in his prime. The host announces the grand prize, and when the name Mora's Workshop flashes across the display, Changhyeon's expression cracks into open disbelief. That's the prize. He can't believe they're actually giving that away. Ara-jo steps to the podium and the noise dies down. Her voice is clear, precise, and carries the weight of someone who's been on the other side of this competition. 100 contestants fought past 4,590 others to be here, but there are still too many. The first mission is a survival game inside a dungeon where elite hunters once bled for their victories. The objective is brutal in its simplicity: survive until only 20 remain. The Land of the Lost Souls. The name alone carries weight. The top 5 contestants with the most eliminations will carry an advantage into the next stage, and that single rule transforms this from a survival mission into a hunt. One contestant in futuristic gear and goggles grins wide. Finally, it's starting. He zooms forward in a flash of motion. Across the arena, another figure stands still, utterly focused, waiting for the storm to reach him. Changhyeon Lee stands before the waterfall at the heart of the Land of the Lost Souls, and something clicks behind his eyes. He knows this place. Every corridor, every hidden passage, every strategic choke point. He mapped it all in another life, in the finals of a league that no longer exists for him. He smirks with quiet confidence, including the secret dungeon, especially the secret dungeon. In the control room, the judges are already puzzled. One contestant managed to pass the written test without demonstrating any proper combat skill. How? In the survival arena, a more troubling development is emerging. A warning chime cuts through the strategic chatter, and on the screen, a map lights up with alerts. Something unusual is happening in the stage area, something no one anticipated. The room goes very quiet, very fast. A blue-uniformed judge drops to a knee, eyes locked on the monitoring feed, demanding to see what's happening inside the chamber. The camera pushes through a dim tunnel with intricate patterned walls, and there it is. A location that should be impossible for any contestant to know about. A dark-haired man in stylish glasses watches the screen, and the words escape him before he can stop them. How does he know? Artifacts. The judges explain it for the crowd. Treasures hidden inside dungeons, capable of turning the tide of an entire match with a single find. In a flashing image, a lone contestant raises one high above their head to a roaring arena. But this dungeon is different. It's never been used as a stage before. It should be completely unknown, even to Division 1 players. Yet somehow, impossibly, one contestant is already heading straight for it. The revelation lands like a blow. The virtual reality reproduced a real dungeon, hidden area and all, and now a contestant is walking right into it. Inside that hidden chamber sits the Ether, an artifact so catastrophically powerful that the Hunters League itself has banned it from competition. The room of judges stares at the feed. Shock, confusion, and a creeping, unsettling question: how does he know exactly where to go? One of the judges raises the next logical concern: an artifact that powerful must have a keeper guarding it. The visual manifests almost immediately. A knight-like figure, armored and ancient, axe and shield in hand, surrounded by glowing runes. The definition is grim: the stronger the artifact, the stronger the keeper protecting it. And deep in the virtual cavern, something responds to the contestant's presence. A glowing cube pulses at the center of the chamber. It has been disturbed. Changhyeon reaches the cube and wraps his hand around it. The ground shudders, rumble, and the walls seem to breathe. He exhales slowly. His memory of this place was hazy, blurred by time and the chaos of his past life, but he found it. He's standing right where he needs to be. Now comes the part that even he approached with caution the first time around, defeating the keeper. His smirk doesn't waver. He moves through the cavern with the ease of someone rereading a story they've already finished. The glowing orb in his hand lights the ancient stone walls, and his declaration is almost playful. This round is going to be a piece of cake. Then the artifact stirs. Beams of light explode outward in every direction, and the power radiating through the cave is unlike anything the other contestants will encounter today. He came here for the ether, and he's going to take it. He allows himself one honest moment. If he hadn't faced this exact challenge before, he would have been eliminated right here. The cube floating before him is no ordinary relic. It's an advanced technological artifact recovered from the ruins of a tower. He defeated it once in the finals of a league and claimed the ether as his prize. That victory was unusual, discovered mid-match, used under special exception. He suspects those same rules apply now. He suspects correctly. Now there's no time for reflection, only movement. He sprints through the rocky underground passage, urgency written in every stride. Then he launches himself airborne with a burst of power, FWOOM, body arcing through the air toward a glowing portal below. He lands. Tap. Quick, precise, no wasted motion. The portal pulses around him. Whatever waits on the other side of this, he's not slowing down to reconsider. The cube spins and Changhyeon strikes thwack, a clean impact that sends vibrations shimmering across its surface. He knows his current stats aren't strong enough to brute force a monster-type keeper. That's not the plan. The plan is pattern recognition. Every keeper moves in a sequence, a rhythm, learn it, exploit it. The cube emits a FWIP and a ZIIING as the interaction deepens, and he watches, and he waits for the opening he already knows is coming. Massive glowing hands crash down from above, whack, and Changhyeon is already moving, rolling clear of the impact zone with split-second precision. Close. Even knowing exactly when the strike was coming, it was still almost too close. He exhales. His smirk returns, and in the half-breath before the next attack, his mind is already 3 moves ahead, cataloging everything from just before that dodge. The cube shatters, whoosh, and the realization hits simultaneously for everyone watching. A piece of the keeper's own body, dense and nearly indestructible, has broken off. Changhyeon doesn't seem surprised. He seems satisfied. He holds the fragment up, confirming what physics already told him. If something is strong enough, it will break under the right conditions. He pockets it. Then he descends the golden staircase below, undone, and whatever waits down there is about to find out what he's capable of. The treasure chest sits before him, ornate and gleaming in golden accents, and when he opens it, CREAK, a glowing orb of pure energy rises from within, filling the chamber with radiance. He stares at it for a long moment. It's been a while, but this is the real thing. He can feel it. He reaches for it with the calm of a man who's been here before, weapon in hand, ready to bond the ether to his blade. The glowing HUD materializes as Changhyeon activates arcane weapon transmutation, and his eyes go wide with a realization that lights up his whole face. Is this what he thinks it is? He raises the handgun toward the rocky wall and fires. Bang, bang, bang. Rapid, deliberate testing. Steam rises from the impact points. His expression settles into quiet, almost giddy satisfaction. Lucky him indeed. The key was mana, specifically, his deep understanding of what mana actually is and how it moves through a weapon. That knowledge is what let him fire bullets made of concentrated mana in the first place. Now, with the ether fused into the equation, the possibilities expand dramatically. Bang bang echoes through the cave as he tests his theory. His grin is sharp and certain. He just might be able to pull this off. He examines the smoking bullet holes in the wall, thoughtful. The weapon isn't precise enough for targeted shots, not yet, but for suppressive fire, he can work with that. Back in the bright control room, the panel of judges stares at the feed in collective disbelief. He's using guns again, one of them breathes. Another follows with the real question, is that his strategy for the ether? The room has no answer. The judges are grasping for explanations. The cube doesn't think it moves in patterns. For a pro hunter, recognizing those patterns is difficult but possible. For a raw contestant, Impossible, unless. One of the judges floats the idea carefully, a skill like clairvoyance, something that lets him predict his opponent's movements before they happen. The woman stares at the screen, her expression caught between admiration and something darker, something like fear. The dark-haired figure in the blue coat and goggles looks at the fragment he broke from the cube, and the final piece of the strategy clicks into place. Outside the chamber, in the lush greenery filtering sunlight through ancient trees, another figure stands in a sleek black outfit, radiating quiet power. The judge with the drink raises his glass, eyes gleaming. Whatever this contestant is doing, it's the work of someone who doesn't just play the game. He rewrites it. Changhyeon moves through the forest with the calm of someone who already knows how this ends. The rankings are unfolding exactly as Seoul Private Academy predicted, and in his mind, no one in this arena can beat him one-on-one. That confidence fills every step down the dirt path, until the forest explodes with the thunder of gunfire. Bang, 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 something is coming for him. Changhyeon freezes. Gunfire in a survival game already down 60 players. He does the math instantly. If he eliminates everyone still standing, first place is within reach. Sitting at fifth, he can't afford to be passive. He pushes through the tall grass with purpose, eyes scanning, and then stops cold. Something in the foliage ahead. Someone. A figure in a dark hood peers through the tall grass, light brown hair, sharp eyes, utterly still. Then movement. A fist ignites with raw energy and the forest detonates. FWOOM. Boom. A contestant in purple goes flying with a scream, and the hooded figure watches through the smoke with a menacing grin. From a distance, Changhyeon observes the chaos, and a glowing orb pulses on the ground where a player used to stand. A tap on the shoulder. Jisoo whips around, eyes blowing wide in pure disbelief. Standing there in his blue coat and goggles, grinning like nothing in the world is wrong, is Changhyeon. He greets Jisoo like they're old friends catching up over coffee. Jisoo does not share the sentiment. His shock curdles fast into fury and he squares up, calling Changhyeon out for the sneak he is. Changhyeon doesn't flinch. He has a problem, and Jisoo is going to help whether he likes it or not. Jisoo doesn't appreciate the nickname. He fires back with sharp eyes and a sharper tongue, and the boy beside him in the gray jacket makes it worse by suggesting they refuse entirely. That's the wrong answer. Changhyeon's hand begins to glow, a soft, dangerous pulse of power. Then he launches off the ground with a BOOM that cracks the earth beneath him. The air crackles. He already has a plan forming, and he is going to see it through. The dark-haired boy in the suit steps in with his own brand of persuasion. He throws something skyward with a shout of HEADS, and Jisoo screams at him to stop. One moment of absolute chaos. The next, everyone is sitting on the grass, breathing heavily, and the atmosphere has shifted completely. "What do you want?" Jisoo asks flatly. Changhyeon's answer is simple: work together. A reluctant alliance is born. Jisoo crosses his arms. He wants no part of this. His answer is a hard no until a gun comes out. Clack, bang. The shot doesn't miss by much, and now Jisoo's expression has gone from defiant to something far more manageable. The boy in the black outfit with green accents smirks, laying out the options with terrifying calm: help or be eliminated. Out here in the open field under the bright sky, the choice isn't really a choice at all. Jisoo, hoodie wrinkled and expression conflicted, asks the only question left to ask. "What do you actually want me to do?" Changhyeon's grin sharpens. He says 2 words: "Got them." Then the forest erupts. Clang. Steel rings through the trees as a figure in white pants tears through the greenery at full speed, and an explosive boom shakes the clearing. Someone nearby stammers in disbelief. The trap is already sprung. Bang, bang, bang. Gunfire tears through the forest air, and Changhyeon raises his weapon with a savage grin. Double kill. 2 more contestants down, and he is loving every second of it. 2 silhouettes sprint down the dirt path ahead, a blur of black coat and white shirt. But above them, silent and massive, a dark sword descends. Someone's foot slips on the path. The blade is already there. The dark-haired boy reacts with wide eyes. FWIP, something is moving fast through the foliage. Changhyeon, goggles glinting, almost laughs. He made a tactical miscalculation. The gunfire was too loud. Now 3 new figures are threading silently through the forest toward them, a blonde in a suit, one in a red dress, another dressed in white. Changhyeon calls them guests. His tone makes it clear he's not worried. He probably should be. A reminder cuts through the chaos like a blade. The Hunters League is a team sport. Not every player is built to attack. And Jisoo, who now stands gripping spheres of crackling energy in both hands, isn't meant to be a striker. He's meant to be a shield, a support. The weight of that word hangs over the dark cosmic battlefield, and somewhere in the smoke, Changhyeon is counting on him to hold. In the observation room, the judges are watching with narrowed eyes. One of them notes that Changhyeon's target had been performing exceptionally. Will Changhyeon actually stop him? Another doubts it. The real question being whispered around the room is whether Changhyeon found Jisoo by design or by accident, because they have no known prior connection. The idea that he somehow identified the right supporter for this moment troubles them more than any weapon could. One judge isn't convinced Changhyeon's opponent will fold so easily, and in the forest, that opponent, cool-eyed and golden-collared, strolls alongside a group of 5, utterly unconcerned. Meanwhile, Changhyeon is running the numbers. What is the simplest way to gain the upper hand in combat? A better weapon, smarter tactics, superior team composition. He shakes his head. None of those. The answer is something far more straightforward. The answer is numbers. Changhyeon knows that even with Jisoo's gravity manipulation in his corner, they're outnumbered and outgunned, and his opponents know it too. They're probably counting on him to panic. The black-clad figure with the long coat certainly thinks so. He charges forward with a predator's confidence, weapon raised, taunting that he doesn't know what Changhyeon has done, but that it ends here. Changhyeon smiles. He hasn't felt this alive in a long time. No hard feelings. That's what the dark-haired fighter says as he raises a shield and lets the attacks crash against it like waves against stone. The battlefield blooms with bang after bang under a wide blue sky. And all the while, a character with a blue and white outfit and camera gear delivers a warning that cuts through the noise. Never tell your enemy your ability. Right now, in the chaos of the exchange, that rule is being tested. One contestant ducks behind a tree with a precision that surprises even the observers. The judges note they've never seen him move this strategically before. On the other side of the forest, a boy in a yellow hoodie dashes forward, loud and obvious. He doesn't see the calm, dark-eyed figure waiting for him. SHWO. FWOSH. Bang. The yellow-hooded boy's expression collapses into fear. He walks straight into a lesson he won't forget. Through the dense trees, a dark-clad figure moves like a predator, fast, precise, silent. His eyes ignite red as the all-seeing eye activates and the battlefield becomes a map he alone can read. His plan is surgical. Eliminate the others while Hangul plays defensive and draws fire. Thump. Zoom. He's already moving to execute it. Then bang. A voice in the trees says one word. Dead. 7 kills. The count echoes like a drumbeat as Changhyeon crouches through the thick grass, his expression ice-cold with focus. Nearby, Jisoo pulls her bow taut, eyes wide, reacting to every sound. A handgun clicks with deadly precision, clack, and another contestant is gone. Bang. The tally rises. And as Changhyeon spins sharply through the foliage, the calculation is almost complete. Only one opponent remains. He pulls the trigger, squeeze, bang, SHWOM. The bullet screams through the air and catches metal with a decisive ting. A sword drops into the grass with a heavy flump. Changhyeon doesn't stop. He's already spinning up a crossbow, already scanning, already thinking. He calls out across the clearing, asking by name if the last one standing is Hangul. The word hangs in the air, personal, pointed. The boy in the light blue jacket fires again and again, grinning through the exchange, but the dark green-haired figure in the black coat is a wall of fluid deflection. Clang, ting, zoom, every shot redirected with almost contemptuous ease. Changhyeon registers the truth. Even with his bullets slowed by low mana reserves, the ability to block every single one is remarkable. But the green-haired fighter is confident. Perhaps too confident. He tells Changhyeon he will never land a hit. Ting, FWOOM. The dark-clad swordsman tears through the forest like a force of nature, red eyes blazing with the heightened perception of the all-seeing eye. Everything slows down for him, every branch, every shadow, every incoming threat. Then he commits. Wham! Blue energy erupts in a devastating arc. Bang! SHWOOM. The forest shakes and whatever was standing between him and his target isn't anymore. I got HIM. The cry rings out with the finality of a closing door. Clang, ting, beep, and then silence. The survival game is over. Spotlights cut through the fog as 20 survivors take the stage, and the announcement washes over them like thunder. The last 20 stand. Changhyeon is among them. And for a moment, standing there in the light, the impossible return he's been building toward feels very, very real. Not everyone is celebrating. A boy with spiky blue hair clicks his tongue bitterly. He almost had someone and the opportunity slipped away. But on stage, the presenters are electric with energy, congratulating the survivors on earning the right to call themselves real hunters. The purpose of a hunter, one of them reminds the crowd, isn't just to win matches. It's to protect mankind. In the audience, a blue-haired young man watches with eyes full of hunger. The final ranking hits the screen like a verdict. Changhyeon Lee, 7 kills, stares at the results with a tense, unreadable expression. 7 kills, 5th place. It's not nothing, but he knows what the numbers mean against the field he's facing. The boy beside him, goggles pushed up on his forehead, wears the same complicated look. They both know the survival game was just the beginning. 5th place. Changhyeon exhales the quiet frustration of a man who expected more from himself. But before the weight can settle, a blond boy in white practically materializes beside him, beaming. Did he really use a game refresher? Everyone is talking about it. The arena buzzes around them as an achievement hologram announces Changhyeon's awakened talent. Even in 5th place, he managed to make himself unforgettable. The lights shift and the camera is ready. A crew member adjusts the frame as the interviewer prompts Changhyeon, why the hunter's next generation. Changhyeon, sitting straight in his dark jacket with blue accents, gives an answer with no hesitation and no performance behind it. He was the best candidate for this. Simple. Honest. It's the kind of answer that either wins a crowd or loses them completely. In the interview chair, a boy with spiky blue hair admits he could have done better, but places exactly where he should have. He waves off concern about Hangyul, refusing to call him a rival. The interviewer presses the obvious follow-up. If Hangyul isn't your rival, why only 5th place? It's a question designed to sting. From across the modern stage, 2 observers watch the exchange with quiet fascination, leaning in. In the cafeteria, the blond boy drops his chin into his hand with a long, miserable groan. The interview was a nightmare. His dark-haired friend across the table, still cheerfully working through his food, asks what happened. The blonde explains they kept comparing him to Jisoo, trying to pit them against each other. The comparison made him deeply uncomfortable. He stabs at his food like it personally offended him. Meanwhile, the dark-haired boy in glasses and his stylish jacket leans across the table, thoroughly entertained. He confides that he told the interviewers his real rival isn't Jisoo. It's the blonde sitting right across from him. The blonde reacts with open horror, insisting that was an even worse answer than just naming Jisoo. They dissolve into banter, trading opinions on who said what, the tension of the competition briefly forgotten in the noise of the cafeteria. The conversation turns serious for just a moment. The light-haired boy with glasses sets down his spoon and says what he actually thinks. Hangyul Yun and Hyeju Yu are on another level entirely. They could step into the professional leagues right now. His dark-haired companion listens, a faint glimmer of something unreadable passing behind his eyes. Admiration, agreement, or the quiet calculation of someone taking notes on his future opponents. Freeze. The blond boy with spiky hair stops cold at the command. He announces he's heading to practice first and moves to leave, but the dark-haired figure in goggles watches him go with something heavy in his expression. He might have been too harsh on the kid, but it needed to be said. Across the space, silhouettes of performers stand in a single spotlight under the word talent, and the weight of that word sits heavy on both of them. Back in the cafeteria, the blonde stares into nothing, still processing. Then a hand reaches for his shoulder and he snaps out of it, huh? A boy with messy dark hair and goggles on his forehead practically vibrates with excitement, introducing himself as Han Jin. He launches into a breathless, unbroken stream of questions about whether the blonde fought Hangyul, how tough he was, whether he's ever beaten him, before catching himself mid-ramble and asking the blonde's name. Changhyeon barely gets his name out before someone grabs his arm and starts pulling. The other boy, Hanbyul, is already mid-sentence, spilling details about someone seeking Changhyeon after the survival game ended. Changhyeon rubs his forehead, expression caught between exasperation and genuine confusion, as they march down a hallway toward a door that looks far more ominous than the conversation currently suggests. Tell him what? He has absolutely no idea what is happening. Han Jin reflects quietly on the hard truth. Without full bloom activated, his stats fall as much as 50% short of Hangyul and Hyeju Yu's, and in some categories double that gap. The survival game gave him an edge through the ether, but the next round won't be so forgiving. Nearby, Changhyeon grips a vending machine with barely concealed tension. Hunters, the next generation, the dream stage. He has to be ready for what comes after the survival game. An announcer in a gray suit builds the moment dramatically, and then screams "NOOOO" as something derails his grand beginning. In a screening room, judges Suhyuk Min and Ara Jo examine footage of the contestant from Seoul Private Academy with careful eyes. The cream of the crop, Ara Jo agrees. On screen, Hang Yul-yun stands in black and gray, jaw set, eyes fierce, declaring that becoming a hunter has been his dream his entire life. He means every word of it. In the cafeteria, Changhyeon in his black and blue outfit speaks quietly about the path not being easy, about struggle, and the discipline of honest self-assessment. A distant crash punctuates his words like an exclamation point. The blonde beside him holds a device and asks whether something has already begun. The two of them exchange a glance loaded with anticipation. Whatever is coming next has apparently started ahead of schedule. In a bright hallway, a light-haired character with a phone relays the audience reaction to Changhyeon. His interview responses are landing as too stiff, too formal, while another contestant's unorthodox answers are drawing praise for their authenticity. On the large screen beside them, that very contestant sits loose and unhurried in his chair, wearing sunglasses, telling the interviewer he faced no particular difficulties. He was simply there to improve himself. The crowd loves it. Changhyeon watches the screen. Han Jin shuts the conversation down with a flat no. The light-haired boy in white and blue taps his device and calls him back. Enough, they need to get back to practice. They haven't even covered the survival game portion yet. As they head out, the light-haired boy fires off a genuinely curious question. Why is Han Jin only training his legs? Every session, nothing but leg work. What's the strategy? In the gym, the light-haired boy tosses the question casually. What role do you think you play? Han Jin reclines on the equipment, thinking it through. Ranged fighter. The light-haired boy agrees. High damage output, that's the assumption. But Han Jin pushes back. Damage alone isn't the answer. Mobility is the other half of the equation. A ranged fighter caught in place is a ranged fighter eliminated. His legs, he explains, need to match a melee fighter's, maybe surpass them. An older man with gray hair and quiet authority steps into the conversation. He counters the assumptions being made. The Korean Hunters League, he explains, isn't like the World Leagues. Most of Korea's greatest hunters are gone. The strategic frameworks that work at the highest levels haven't fully filtered down. The young man in the black jacket with white stripes listens carefully, then straightens. He's heard enough. That's more than enough reason to keep training his legs. The gray-haired man with the neatly trimmed beard lets out a genuine laugh at Changhyeon's bold declaration that ranged fighters make themselves targets for melee opponents. Bold. Very interesting. Then the laughter fades. He shifts into something quieter and more pointed. Overconfidence. He warns from years of hard experience. is among the primary reasons champions fall. Changhyeon absorbs the words with a thoughtful expression. He's been warned by the best before. He intends to listen this time. Han Jin sits in the training chair, deflecting the question about who the gray-haired man was with a simple shrug. He doesn't know. The older man, Juntik Lee, doesn't let it slide long. He pivots to a question of his own. What is the most important trait for a ranged fighter? Han Jin offers his answer: firepower and whatever else they have. Juntik Lee's hand comes up, dismissing the response before Han Jin even finishes. Wrong. Try again. Juntik Lee leans back in his chair with a relaxed authority and fires the next question directly. Why is this young man always training his legs instead of developing his mana? The dark-haired young man in the green pants grins and explains the logic. A ranged fighter who stands still is a dead ranged fighter. When your position gets exposed in close combat, that's the end. Juntik Lee nods, but his expression suggests he's testing the answer, not satisfied by it. Juntik Lee outlines the grim reality of Korea's Hunters League. The loss of its best hunters has left a strategic void that high-level world leagues don't share. The young man in the white-striped jacket studies a holographic interface in the dim gym, eyes moving over his own stat profile. The full bloom skill not activated. 2 features: new talents upon accomplishing feats and a dramatic enhancement to attribute growth rates. He stares at the inactive marker. That word, not activated, is a problem he intends to fix. Juntik Lee wraps his point with emphasis. Once full bloom activates, the attribute enhancement alone makes it extraordinary. Beside him, Dajun drops onto the bench with a heavy exhale after his workout, asking Changhyeon what he plans to do next. Changhyeon pauses. He doesn't know Dajun well enough to give real advice. Then his eyes sharpen, and a small competitive smile breaks through. How about a sparring match? Dajun does not look entirely prepared for this. Han Jin stands in the training area, sword in hand, asking what his partner thinks he knows about the regimen. The tall blonde man in white grips his own sword and answers with total conviction. Whatever his limitations elsewhere, he will not lose in a sword fight. Then Han Jin dashes away with a that undercuts the tension entirely. The blonde watches him go. And somewhere in the back of Han Jin's mind, the unspoken admission lingers. He probably doesn't have a chance against that other guy. Swords clash with a clang that rings through the gym. The blonde in the white training uniform drives his blade forward, focused and technically sound, but something is wrong. Every exchange, he's pushing harder than he should need to. What is going on, he mutters between breaths. That's just an ordinary sword his opponent is using. An ordinary sword, and yet he is struggling. The realization settles over him like cold water. Shing. A sword materializes in Changhyeon's hands, clean, sharp, catching light like a threat. He moves with a precision that fills the room, and across from him, the white-haired opponent mirrors every shift with equal intensity. FWOSH. Clack. Steel argues with steel. But beneath the performance, Changhyeon is asking himself a question that cuts deeper than any blade. Is this gap between them simply a difference in talent? He doesn't let the question slow his hand. Clang. A gray-haired man hits the ground hard. The sparring session just claimed a veteran. Across the gym, the spiky-haired blonde in the white shirt slams his frustration into the air. He can't reach his opponent, but his opponent can absolutely reach him. Then light explodes from a raised sword, SHAAA, and the dark-haired young man in the gray hoodie lifts a great sword above his head with the glow of something terrifying. The blonde watches, jaw tight. How do you beat that? Han Jin parries with a snap of the wrist that sends a wham echoing through the training room. The blonde boy doubles over, gasping, sweat on his forehead, and still manages to ask through the exhaustion. What does Han Jin actually think of his supposed rival? Han Jin answers without a flicker of ego. The blonde is a little better than him. The blonde stares. A little. Han Jin smiles. He was going easy. And now the question burning in the air is, what does Han Jin look like when he isn't? In the gym, tension hangs heavily as a blond young man grits his teeth over his perceived weaknesses. A dark-clad figure, exuding confidence, teasingly questions him about his recent loss. With a demonstrative sword in hand, the mentor-like presence emphasizes the importance of finesse and technique. The scene is a dance of introspection and challenge. The dark-haired mentor showcases advanced swordsmanship, advising the blonde about the advantages of a rapier over a longsword. Each move is executed with precision, emphasizing agility over brute force. Realization dawns on the blonde as he understands the need for swift, calculated attacks, a revelation that could redefine his fighting style. Lost in thought, the spiky-haired blonde ponders his capabilities. Across the room, a dark-haired boy showcases martial prowess, sparking curiosity and competitive tension. In a hallway, conversations reveal skepticism and slow-cooking plans. With contemplations about being watched, the scene is thick with introspection and quiet plotting. A confrontation brews as Han Jin contemplates unsolicited provocations. The atmosphere electrifies with verbal clashes, challenging the composure of each contender. Rivalries simmer, ready to explode as a grinning antagonist openly challenges while tempers flare. This is the crucible where competitive spirits forge stronger steel. In the heat of competition, Jinseung Kim evaluates his opponent with astute insights. His opponent, brimming with bravado, arrogantly believes victory is at hand without effort. Yet beneath the surface, Jinseung reads the unfolding dynamics with a keener edge than any sword, preparing for the real battle. A thrilling exchange unfolds as a duel of blades erupts. With a rapier at the ready, the dark-haired challenger charges forward, determined despite the possibility of defeat. Fierce in his resolve, he meets his counterpart head-on, their blades screaming against one another in an orchestra of combat. Weapons swing with intent, danger imminent as one participant fails to evade. Relief floods in as impact is narrowly avoided, but uncertainty settles. What will be their next move? Contemplation in the face of danger reflects a strategist's mind. This duel is more than just physical. With confidence, Han Jin uses telekinesis to confront an opponent's unseen ace. Determination mingles with surprise at his rival's deflection, but his resolve is unwavering. A single knife hurtles forward, yet even against this, he stands ready, power surging within his grasp. Jinseung Kim's red eyes blaze with the all-seeing eye as he anticipates and parries a cascade of knives. His telekinetic mastery halts the assault mid-air, a testament to his strategic brilliance. Each blade paused in its lethal course, a declaration of dominance. Knives waver momentarily in the air, signaling an unfinished conflict. Focus shifts as the dark-haired fighter, lying poised, awaits fate's choice. Will the untouched blade land its mark? As tension peaks, Changhyeon Lee clenches his fist in triumph, certainty solidifying amidst potential defeat. In a room of cutting-edge technology, a confident boy and a bespectacled observer deliberate on predictive analytics. Insights flash across the screen, displaying strategic foresight and potential outcomes. Behind steely gazes and contemplative musings, a greater strategy is at play, but who truly holds the predictive edge? A discussion ensues regarding Han Jin's strategic prowess. Suspicions confirm that only keen analysis and foresight led to his victory. Comparisons with legendary figures heighten expectations. As awe meets skepticism, is he destined to reach those storied heights, or will admiration veil ambition too daring? Jinseung Kim, eyes glowing with confidence, discusses tactical nuances with peers in a sleek office. With camaraderie and playful tension, they acknowledge both his analytical depth and his opponent's savvy. Beyond the banter, strategic fires smolder, signaling future moves in a multifaceted chessboard. In a cutting-edge training environment, a delicate balance hangs as a character weaves through airborne blades. He muses on team dynamics and partner selection against a backdrop of opportunistic alliances. Priority picks loom over choices like a specter, but will skill or politics dominate the field? The atmosphere lightens with playful exchanges about class rankings and weaponry. Amidst jokes and jibes, an unexpected rivalry surfaces, bringing undertones of ambition in a seemingly casual setting. As camaraderie sharpens knives of competition, notions of possibility play against the desire to ascend. Curiosity erupts in a classroom as students grapple with uncertainties. As discussions swirl like mysterious whispers, a rattling at the door signals arrival, anticipation skipping across gathered minds. Are they on the edge of revelation, or merely poised on the brink of unknown trials? A commanding presence delivers revealing insights during a structured meeting, casting reflections on a week's training. As results vary, contemplation stirs among the participants. The challenge of growth is palpable, pushing each to question their own progress and potential in this crucible of ambition. In a training hall filled with eager hearts, a confident instructor inspires hope while a team of mentors stands poised. A promising arsenal of guidance awaits, but beneath the excitement lies a reminder of the gulf between potential and mastery. Will they bridge the gap? A session fraught with steely discipline as Changhyeon Lee drives home the seriousness of their pursuit. Authority and experience wrestle against arrogance, preparing the ground for a challenging journey toward excellence. In this crucible, will foundational values anchor their path to mastery? Confusion and surprise shock a classroom as Changhyeon Lee is faced with unexpected academic paths. Each inquiry, a question mark on foreheads, why melee for him? Yet at this crossroads, clarity remains elusive, tethering ambition to uncertainty. What defines one's path in this vast arena? In a bustling training zone, camaraderie edges on tension as new skills are introduced alongside old rivalries. Under the watchful gaze of superiors, talents are honed, gaps are exposed, and the air crackles with potential conflict. Here in these halls, futures are decided, and forgotten dreams may be reawakened. Gears turn expectantly as an audience watches the instructor explain complex equipment. The room vibrates with excitement as familiarity and new beginnings intertwine. With zeal and swift demonstrations, lessons merge with memories, blending nostalgia with the thrill of discovery. Who will master these new titans? Embodying both steel and fragility, rookies tremble under the weighty prospects of the Division III league tests. Urgency imposed, skills demanded, a dire reminder emerges. This place is both breeding ground and burial for careers, thriving on the ethos of adapt or perish. Amid classroom antics, Changhyeon watches Dajun struggle. Teasing tones cradle serious undertones. The drills to come are no joke, and everyone must sharpen their edges. Do they all see the rising stakes, or will these moments of levity shatter into unforeseen challenges? In the delicate tapestry of Manhwa training, Changhyeon weaves wisdom into budding practitioners. Guiding instruction and focused dialogue belies the formidable magic before them. But can their growing skills withstand the balance required, or will their ropes fray when tested? Precision and grace swirl as an instructor captivates with demonstrations on Manhwa flow. Disciple and master alike ponder secrets of fluid motion. Knowledge transmits like a thriving current, charging the space around it. But will skill find its mark amidst potential and aspiration? Enthusiasm meets skepticism in a clinical venue as bravado brushes against solemnity. Here, sparks of rivalry mingle with institutional authority as a stern figure challenges complacency. Changhyeon introduces himself. This test is a stage, but who controls the script? Curiosity dances with ambition as Changhyeon contemplates the trials ahead. An instructor prepares a daunting test, mysterious methodologies whispered among eager minds. What surprise awaits in this evolving gauntlet, where past experience collides with new foundations? Under the weight of administrative concerns, strategies shift among the heads leading team assignments. An unexpected change in roles challenges perceptions around Changhyeon Lee. As layers are unraveled, does ambition drive intrigue or is it the testing ground? Training insights spark anticipation as an instructor lays bare the true stakes. Bold assertions demand accountability from all, posing challenges not only to students but educative principles. In this space charged with potential, can mere rigor define a hunter's future? Confident assertions and looming consequences grip those gathered, sealing fate in the balance. Challenges are direct, with freedom dangling as reward. But amidst the daunting environment, will success remain elusive or merely transform into their guiding light? Daunting heights capture focus and struggle within a forbidding space. Characters grapple with both tools and inner resolve. Amid swirling doubts, every action writes a page in this unfolding narrative. Possible triumph looms at a distance that countless now eye. Skill and poise define an assertive display against an urban backdrop, emphasizing deft control. Observers ponder potential beyond familiar constraints as the young contender dares gravity. Impressions left linger. Will this brazen leap narrate an extraordinary path? The heart races along the path of either progress or pitfall as the young challenger dashes through testing grounds. Precision mingles with doubt near a precipice. Will prowess or mishap dictate the tale? In the balance, agility dances with gravity. Descent paints a poignant drama as gravity taunts with pending impact. From chaos and uncertainty arises an urgent plea for footing. Amidst despair's whispers lies the untold strength to defy fate. Can ingenuity reinvent this fall, or will woes reign on? A confident youth grips potential in technological mastery. Where fear falters, innovation ascends. Sleek prowess defies potential missteps, embracing capabilities as fuel for his rise. In this dance with the modern, does each leap presage new heights? In a vertical ballet, skill and daring rewrite norms. An observer's mind races, clutching for rationale amidst impressive agility. Minds reshape limitations with determination, composing unexpected narratives while support gazes wonder, redefining perceptions with burgeoning clarity. An informal reprieve from combat drills introduces candidness. In a classroom filled with idle banter, youthful exuberance fills the gaps between resolved tactics. Notes and rivalries entangle, but which shall tip the scales when battles draw near? Curiosity beckons as the young man ventures into the verdant unknown, his resolve undeterred by pranks or doubts. Finding himself amidst nature, a flicker of intrigue grows. What secrets lie hidden beneath its tranquil facade? Footsteps and echoes deepen intrigue in secluded stairs. Mystery clings to foreboding shadows, whispers tempting discovery. As fingers trace hidden pathways, possibilities unravel, each step teeters between dread and revelation. Will secrets emerge calmly or spill violently into light? Amid professional discussions, cordiality masks veiled stakes. Changhyeon Lee extends a cold courtesy laced with analytical precision. Navigating this labyrinth of intention, does clarity lay imminent or more questions? In such quiet passages, is every edge honed with cost? Interests align as verbal sparring measures promise and ambition. Evaluations unfold in a subtle dance. Does admired potential indeed echo seasoned veterans or rise beyond shadowed inferences? With mirrored intention, these revelations ascend, but only future deeds may authenticate. In the heart of an armory, significance flickers in gazes cast upon lethal artwork suspended in waiting. Glimmers of appetite and possibilities tease, each weapon a choice, each echo of its past life. Will their potential shape unforeseen destinies? Weaponry conversation crackles in a blend of history and longing. Ruminations mix with tangible desires, relics unveiled, tools of yore casting light anew. Borrow or possess, use or save, Does this decision cast gleams of inheritance more profound than known? Peacemakers and predators, weapons spin dreams taller than fences. Eventually, whispers of unbreakable ambition stir conversation. Who champions destiny in this arena where accolades of association or independence dwarf yesterday's glory? Harrowing deeds and gleaming chance strike the chords of tomorrow's resilience. Prospect beckons with promises brighter than polished steel. Yet discerning ears hear faint warnings beyond the gleam, guidance verging on cautionary tales. Contradictions rise and partnerships stumble. But amongst all, whose esteem shelters true fortune, and where does insatiable pride abide? In the calm light of a spacious room, polite farewells exchange between generation and success. Gratitude bridges distance as respect cascades in vivid strides. Amicable gestures lead to lingering inquiries. What lodges between these shared pathways, where uncertainty and introspection breathe? Momentum shifts to classrooms where youthful bravado weaves its pattern through past imbibed wisdom. Reflecting upon exchanges sharpens resolve, even absent weapons allure. Confidence finds casual camaraderie, but in the restful pause, what move sparks future revelation? Excitement stirs as tournaments draw near, their resonance bolstered by self-belief and anticipated prizes. Ambition reframes ally into opportunity and strategy sharpens its edges. Blends of confidence with looming challenges suggest potent futures, but always hinging upon which victors thrive unstoppably. As strategic prospects align with raw potential, shimmering rewards hover within grasp. But with stakes thus entwined, where do preparations lead, and who shall they serve first? Layers of intrigue shimmer toward epiphanies, shedding light on high-stakes dreams of competition. Ara sits in the evaluation room, lost in thought. The cameras capture her introspective gaze, clearly pondering the young man's performance during the survival game. Might his arrogance and lack of empathy derail team efforts? As skyscrapers glitter outside, Ara's mind turns to Changhyeon, his presence lingering in her thoughts. Tension fills the classroom as two competitors dissect their strategy. The subject of elimination is broached. Changhyeon is at a disadvantage due to his low stats. Yet, the first speaker is confidently reminded of a fixation on strong contenders. What plans do they have in store for Changhyeon in this daunting arena? In the stylish lounge, a serious discussion unfolds about overconfidence being a double-edged sword. Seasoned players know the dangers of a slip, and yet, opportunity beckons. As energetic anticipation builds for the upcoming event, one can't help but wonder, can they maintain their composure and avoid complacency? Shock mingles with pride as a young competitor learns of his top ranking, but with the honor of choosing teammates comes the burden of leadership. In the shadows, uncertainty and drama brew among contenders. Why would one feel slighted if not for the high stakes of everyone's ambition? The young man with the fierce expression asserts a triumphant dominance over his opponent Jisoo. Yet, in the reflective dialogue lies an undertone of hubris. The question hangs, will self-assuredness meet its match, as competition grows fiercer with every encounter? Debate escalates with strategy and stakes at the forefront. There's promise of victory, but only if the team follows the plan to perfection. A tense ultimatum is thrown into the air, begging the question, will unity prevail or yield to discord? Horror seeps in as revelations emerge. The truth, that one cannot explain a past life, hits hard. Courage must answer the challenges ahead, but with every assurance comes a consequential warning. They're ready, or are they? Perched on a skyscraper, a lone figure checks his position, anticipation electrifying the air. Confidence mingles with solitude, a precarious mix as plans are set in motion. Little does he know that his every move here could decide his fate. In a dance of strategy, a tactical mind at work instructs his team with precision. Plans laid bare, they must remain unseen, a shadow amidst the looming towers. Yet poised with a gun, he braces for conflict, ready, though what truly awaits? As urban giants loom around him, the protagonist wrestles with urgency. An unplanned call, a dart towards destiny. He needs to reach the heart of it all, the midtown high-rise. Danger lurks as focus narrows, every second more critical than the last. In the open air, the rooftop offers both opportunity and danger. As strategies solidify under expansive skies, what thoughts dance behind those intense eyes? Their plans coalesce, and with a signal they might truly begin to unfold. The equal parts exhilaration and danger of gunfire split the silence. Anticipation clings to each breath, as questions of presence fill the air. Who belongs in this chaos, and who will control its outcome as titles and hands are revealed? A duel of words that preludes a fiercer skirmish. Strategic barbs are cast with a confident ally within earshot, the implication clear: awareness is power. Determinations solidify, decisions aligning to leverage and counter threats. But who will gain the upper hand? Precision and power clash in a landscape of manicured greenery, mere seconds heralding might and counter-strategy. Every movement echoes in the physics-defying dance, each apology belied by combat's relentless rhythm. It's clear both evade with bravado, yet who remains in control? Above city rooftops, every step is a potential misstep. Balance between pursuit and retreat teeters, as characters exchange pointed barbs among a backdrop of steel, glass, and adrenaline. Will such heights yield victories of valor or falls from grace? A suspended ballet of bullets and exchanges, a strategic contrast. Neither player crowns without agility, both owners of potential and untapped power. But amidst these calculations lingers a countdown only the truly prepared can win. Urgency manifests in this frantic interplay, where weapons fall short and calls carry promise or doom. With confident declarations, grudges reveal a backdrop of tactical foresight. The world narrows down to the pressing now. Who will outmaneuver disadvantage? Crisp directives carve through the tension. A battlefield reset as agile alliances jockey for position. Within the storm of shouted names and poised adversaries, will predicted movements lead to victory? Or do shadows await with surprises? A symphony of frustration and crashing energies ensues as cognitive reflex draws blades to readiness. Keen awareness flickers to realizations, threats indenting focus. Strategies shift and clash, bending at the weighty implications of each decision. From above, descending chaos takes form, a rapid fall pressed against atmosphere. An understanding too late crashes into palpable disbelief. There, within controlled mastery, lies the belief they were safe. But are they falling prey to hubris? As one leaps into view, a desperate warning cuts through the turmoil. A final showdown promises catastrophic stakes. Teeters between destruction and confrontation electrify the air, heralding forces unleashed. So, what happens when cornered contenders spiral downward? The shock ensnares, light and net combine with sudden clarity. Plunged into realization, their struggles evolve into bewildered acceptance, efforts suspended in time. For shadows stretch taut, intermingling with the fall. How foreboding is the web caught. In sharp relief, fresh strategy frames victorious scenes. Achievement's justification entwines with necessity, a pivotal recognition when blanketed worries give way to contemplation and relief. Plans remain crucial, tested as forecasts loom. Have they mastered opportunity? Up above, realization blooms beneath open skies. Awareness whispers caution. As plans intersect, triumph tinges each smirk, amid anxieties of potential repeat rumbles. What transpires against shared victories and anticipating adjustments? Reflective discourse revisits earlier missteps, introspection rooted below failed leaps. Disgust with disbelief, strategies refine. Realization settles, alongside camaraderie between progress and limitation. Will reflections of capricious victory strengthen future resolve? In a room dashed with light and warmth, apologies replace tensions like softened echoes. A nod to humility mixes with incredulity. How must surprises settle into knowing smiles? Solidarities form amid reconciled misunderstandings, lightens airs. Surprise reverberates over tactical displays, a testament to intelligence reigning over pure might. Announcements ripple like fluid amplification, welcoming resonance in unexpected prowess. With rewarded futures tethered to that singular moment, what else lies ahead? With anticipation as the backdrop, an auditorium hears stakes broadcast in technical grandeur. Under eternal lights, rewards pulse, audiences listen like predators and contestants prepare accordingly. What balance achieves progression in surviving elimination rites? Momentum defines the shifting platforms as contenders' readied rules reshape perception. Ahead lie battles not unlike tangible maps, terrain known only superficially. But partnerships form, where security dwindles, inclining risks yet flush with potential. Changhyeon, confronted by a vibrant plea, steadfastly refuses alliances, inkling wants unsatisfied. Echoing across rooms dotted with trophies, what precedes bold expectations beneath unlikely circumstances? Does burgeoning legacy build itself or yield elsewhere? Banter and mentorship flavor exchanges in shared space, insistent confidences warming camaraderie. Playfully shuffling, learning curves curl the edges of easy discourse. As dynamics forge anew, will these ties nurture trust amid ambition's pursuit? Laughter bounds between frustratingly opposing exchanges. Optimism brightens prior conflicts, rendering tensions inert. With embrace of past, strategic chewing gleans developmental corners. Can serenity balance with expansion now realized? Through clarity's fluid charm, abilities convolute valuable worth. Framed with momentum, enhancements signal awakenings not yet embraced, a quality of uplifting revelations and uncertain leaps. Catalysts for imminent shifts, will potential steer guidance wisely? Curtains rise, spectacle don't delay, applause sows it aloft. Echoes articulate future pathways writer with intensity's ink, yet whose pen leads? Searching faces question futures and write unwelcome stories, and so power surges anew. When introspection echoes underscored background, masked addiction genuflects through youthful ambitions. Fragility gleams bitter echoes of developmental jewels. While potential peers twilight, forfeiture offers doubt sundry possibility beneath repetition's pause. Solitude unfurls anxiety's response, a downtrodden reflection. As whispering steps correct posture, steel reinforces fragile grounds of change. Will beheld keys build firm bridges? Resolve frames dusk horizons, a mean collaborative past with future's gaze. Tangled intricacies melt among reassuring flight. Washed anew, resolve marks both symbolic and tangible ascent, stepped purpose and unfolding exposition. Opportunities flourish resolute as bonds anchor potential, but in this growth, past and present must harmonize. Between plans, a light exchange colors strategy, yielding comical tones among earnest priorities. Attentive ears must thread intentions through directives. These flurries in laughter's cadence may mask focused advance. Snug channels blend humor with stakes. In electric anticipation, fate rides crisp movements preparing alignment. Intentions shadow urban forms while capturing strategic maps. Calm unfurls curiosity amid rising pulses. How will orbiting significance chart participants' engagements? Beneath cityscapes evoking vibrancy, countdowns echo competing ripples. Strategies in varied steps seriate, testing ground truth and tension anew. Will course corrections slice close enough to realities? Opponents loom where tenacious boldness writes destiny. As numeric shadows dwindle, practiced readiness consolidates into kinetic motion. Contenders press. Briefly, time falters for fractions, those propulsive fates entwine. Alliance breath fuels action. Might they outpace challenges cast by yet unseen elements? Among rooftops, terse maneuvers arise. Position predetermined by past encounters, alliances embrace purpose and inherited lessons. As queries float amidst competitive declarations, are feelings driving actions or strategies dictating outcomes? In corridors lined by discernments, strategy seeks tangible foundation. Unearthed spoiler lies decidedly undaunted in ambitions. Will prescience and positioning extricate measured success? Encounters dare closer, charging energies against calculated confines. Trailing wits span divides, exchanges steady momentum careening into purpose. Banter inscribes dialogues on confidence-tempered gestures. This prefaces phrases extending forward thought's limits. Should responsibilities race in strides measured but by Concord's demands? Contender chases radioed ethos amidst a cracked urban symphony. Focus filters through prospects unrealized thus far. Latching moments writhe possibilities derived behind tourniquets slotted strategy. Charging echoes wonder, when will the masterstroke merge a rival? Valiant upstream displaces unspoken view on boldness. Yet beneath unbending resolve thrusts obstacles varied from sight. Echoes delineate fortunes juxtaposed. Emerging clarity ascends where loss trails conviction. Will weaving pathways reveal soul trajectories? Passages reverberate gunfire's sultriness. Loose counters impact significance. Among guidance and lens discoveries capture visible purpose without touched finesse. As champions align, latent fears raise nervy competence. Expectation itself weighs. Discussions flit across credible doubts querying emergent truths. Notions envelope query manifest truths of transcended aptitudes. Does skepticism mark distrust, or do implications stoke greater evolutions in waiting? Whispers peek between gesturing hands. Retrospection mingles in dialogues illuminating artifacted discourse, a bedroom of welcome surfaces with honorable intention entangled. External voices acknowledge chance meetings rediscovered now, heritage delved amidst prevailing cognizance. What threads continue? Undue regret shades willingness ahead amid passing dialogues. Experience iterates its resolve in opportunities lost. The delicate balances of decision curve onward. Might aspirations yet crown latent ambitions blooming within insight's light? In a sleek office with tension in the air, an older man with sly eyes and a crisp tan suit laughs while a young man nods, pondering his true intent. Meanwhile, a young man on a phone directs someone to meet him upstairs. The scene shifts to an empty waiting room, an air of unease palpable. Amidst a bright meeting room's glow, anticipation hangs in the air. A confident blonde strolls in, musing about potential perils, while another at the table questions their next move. His focus on specific targets suggests critical stakes. Here, tension and resolve intermix, as plans teeter on the edge of hazards unknown. In a light-filled office, disbelief permeates a conversation on strategies. A dark-suited speaker animatedly questions his role, only to meet a playful yet determined assurance from a blonde comrade. The mischief unfolds into action as plans for zone capture erupt with intent. Their dialogue dances with humor and defiance. A brisk hallway march ensues, an eager guide leading a hesitant follower towards the unknown. Shock and an unexpected confidence clash, the outside view framing their spirited exchange. The skeptic's thoughts trail, questioning his action beneath that defiant smile. An uncertain journey approaches, brimming with consequence. Entering a sparse room, surprise strikes. A holographic spectacle awakes with gaming brilliance, illuminating the atmospheric tone. Figures amid the game contemplate their standing on the virtual battlefield. Changhyeon Lee and Dajin Kim find themselves amidst a digital grab for power, the zone's importance looming large over their fragile hold. A minute countdown fuels tension on a bustling urban street. A young woman's exasperation at her companion's risky decisions spills over, her expectations dashed by his surprise capture involvement. Participants' Roy's prospects weigh heavy. Amidst towering skyscrapers, every second ticks with seismic potential. Skepticism sharpens a sandy-haired woman's insight as urban strategies unfold. Amid critique over misleading simplicity, her partner reflects ambitiously about overcoming past challenges. Tactical meditation ensues, pondering those who manipulate stakes within throne shadows, a curious dissection in a city's ordered chaos. Plotting strategy amid a bustling metropolis, combat-ready figures exchange revelations about Changhyeon's presumed weaknesses. Urban warfare looms over the city's horizon. Their glances project future discordance among competitors, an impending turmoil only balanced by keen foresight and potential dominion. In tight quarters, nerve-stricken eyes peer around corners, strategizing victory through stirred chaos. Suddenly, disqualified interrupts. A shocking exclamation leaves confusion in its wake as newfound stakes surface. With futures imperiled, a familiar race ensues under the city's pressing weight. Devastation jolts a blonde woman as news hits. Elimination cuts deep within the competitive sphere as she questions her surroundings. A dark-haired companion signals foreboding threat. Countdown climbs to climactic expectations. Amidst this urgent heartbeat, competitors are stretched to their limit. In a shadowy expanse, a young man prepares to face perilous odds. Doubts linger as suspense builds, the calm before chaos. A fierce allure heralds the clash. Suddenly, shock hits, strikes take the sandy-haired warrior unawares. Grasped by surprise, a critical decision marks a turning. A tense room shakes with abrupt disqualification, casting shadowy despair on familiar ground. Flames erupt with explosive release, chaos overtaking order's helm. Amid kinetic disarray, young intentions blink wide. Surprise intersects urgency, dictating new paths upon turmoil's fracturing walls. One young man grips ineffectual weapons, resignation shadowing his face, while hope flickers in his partner's smile. Resonant sounds weave action, an impending confrontation combusts into possibilities. Determination grips, casting final doubts to the winds amidst growing urgency. Run a razor's edge in a manic arena, sounds echoed by dual figures encased in ominous squares. Gruff, focused aims seek victory's glimpse as time ticks down. Anxiety flares against the onslaught. With tactical strides, Changhyeon's concentration emboldens uncertainty into grit. A digital clock wins nearer to decisive outcomes as tension mounts. A character's ambition for dominance conquers mere victory. Lingering apprehension births urgency in the face of cataclysmic potential, eyes wide with anticipation of devastation imminent on this battlefield. A showdown takes root amidst modern chaos, pitched voices assuring knowledge against odds. Blades hum with deadly intent. A rippling surge of each clash unfurls tensions tied through explosive atmospheric tempo, a dance of defiance with danger imminent from all fronts. Reverberating within crumbling chaos, explosive destruction fans panic. As structural integrity yields to gravity, alarm rises. A resolute woman amidst disarray questions their dissolving sanctuary, poised between control's facade and the tumultuous unknown now bearing down upon them. Time is dwindling fast. Urgent decisions command focus as combat resounds. Doubt filters through gunfire's din while dangers multiply, team ties forcing emergence of fierce resolve against odds. Plunge towards shifting fates or risk ultimate surrender to chaos. Amid this murk and mire, doubt casts a shadow. The dusty veil cloaks intentions, leaving warriors puzzled. Yet, destiny unfolds amidst the smog of adversity. Challengers wrestle to assert order over the wild potential of ever-tenuous calm. A piercing gaze unlocks powerful memories. Adversity's old challenges resurface. As echoes of the all-seeing eye awaken, conflicted shadows ignite this battle's path. Within these strains of nostalgia, practicality melds with recollection in the storm of sudden explosive violence. As chaos ravages, resolve stays steady. A desperate chase towards deliverance ensues. In a swirling haze, those determined refuse to be last, battling through debris-laden corridors lined by doubt. With relentless tenacity, confidence lingers, pockets of balance at risk. Disorder engulfs a staggering young man wielding precision in fires of conflict. Amidst flying projectiles and rote urgency, precision prevails. Fiery shots wing through turbulent void. Falling opponents underscore victory's echo, marking passage through dust-draped disarray. Amid the battlefield tumult, dreams intertwine with fate. Achieving grandeur remains elusive, forcing resolve into questions. As teammates stumble and finality resides, the reticent realization hangs. Growth unfurls at its own time amidst defeat's stark shadow. Determination kindles ambition's incendiary path within battle's explosive backdrop. At the heart of fervor lies unexpected revelation. A declaration ignites hope pushed into hurtling acts. Surrounding chaos beckons uncertain ripples coursing inside hardening resolve. In a modern room of discovery, voices mix shock and admiration over a young prodigy's daunting prowess. Such feats illuminate potential, amplified within a far-reaching view. For some, surprise gives way to respect, acknowledging prodigious skill barely constrained. An inquisitive complexion sharpens, as recognition cuts past smoky uncertainty. Protestations dismantle precision's puzzle, underscoring sharp accuracy amid competing insight. Encounters unfold digitally, far from refined doubts as understanding grows, summoning unveiled talents under spotlight's scrutiny. In an online tapestry woven from excitement's fallout, perceptions vary on match realities. Observations emerge amid heated discussion, painting a unanimous consensus of captured intrigue. However, lies complexities beneath. Strategies ripple within fierce exchanges to unstated victory. Post-battle ease contrasts the weight of former strife. Playful spar runs current among gathered youths, questioning prowess grow inquisitive, showing integration of skill through camaraderie. Reflection exposes as much certainty as fear, chipping away at what-ifs. Words echo over contrasting tensions as truth lingers. A lit stage holds declarations of worth. Coy glances between hopefuls measure implications beyond singular flair. Among pursuits, ambitious futures challenge reality's demand for talent against unyielding scrutiny. A lively arena fills with eager souls grasping at the cusp of greatness. Prospects, dynamic in demeanor, whisper grand ambitions close. Energies align as audience mingles competitive fire with camaraderie, spectacles marking destiny's daunting race. Anticipation peaks in hallways, eager greetings shadowing renowned potential. Enthusiasts throng, personalities mix as excitement stirs future promises. Leaders illuminate paths, dreams thread among lineage, individual tales abutting a shared stage poised for significant moments. Among gleaming interiors, upbeat interactions pulse with aspirations. Ventures begin in unsteady motion, bonds wait against potential. Ideas form collective spirit for consensus, all eyes fixed toward potential convergence of diverse abilities, hinted at. Negotiating in polished spaces, potential prospects intermingle and clash over enticing promises. Not everyone sways to frameworks extended. Following presentations, a thread of dissension remains subdued. Unique chances await those dexterous enough to grasp poised benefits. In a dimly lit negotiation room, lucrative offers sway the air. Diverse agendas square off, promises unspool aside tactical plans. A holder of dreams toys with autonomy versus conformity's compromise. Decisions stir impatient within shrewd assessments. A tantalizing proposal mingles with discord in an office ripe with stakes. Behind confidence lies uncertainty wielded by contenders steeling themselves against opportunity's siren song. Options placed upon table's surface, crucial paths diverge, hesitation masked amid definitive gestures. An unexpected offer awakens interest amid sophisticated surroundings. Cards face upward as invitations to potential grow more attractively intricate, evocative. Eager voices thread openness, curious if new dawn breaths fortune. Delicate tension rests lightly on bright undertakings. Difficulty intertwines with promise in a bespoke office. Prospects shuffled between skeptical interpretations and earnest invitations. Undefined futures hinge on unexpected alignment beneath calculating stares. As subtle queries unfurl threads of intent, horizons stretch further awaiting results. Potential opportunities unfold within a sleek meeting environment. Choices lie framed by possibilities breath waiting. Requisition discussions echo while mysterious allure beckons confirmation. Amid tipping decisions and weighty insights, eager proposals watch for bold inclinations. From potential candidacies to present propositions, shifting dialogues center on ambitions intensified within esteemed confines. Guided by impending decisions, esteemed offers await eager descent through exclaimed joys and reservations. An elegant institution brims with promise. In a sharply lit office where rivals collide, enthusiasm meets speculative challenge. A young response anchors ambition with euphoric conviction. Comparisons query steep demands. Perceptions balance dreams with trending realities where aspirations mix notably. Unease creeps within tracks laid from ambition's pursuit. Boundaries of worth sharpen these dialogues. Constraints epitomize orchestrating devices presented for fortuitous gain, denoting increased stakes for those emboldened. Weighted exchanges permeate the confines before them. Intentions questioned examine paths wait. Moments dart back provoking conceits along unexpected renditions. As futures entwine favorably, humorous introspection offers lightness alongside that resolute. Chance unveils talents etched amidst current trajectories. Among blades and practiced upbringing, vibrant exchanges bloom. Characters ponder catalytic prospects about joining adventures. An air of whimsical foresight curates these interplays beneath promising archways indicating uncharted engagement affirmations. As Allure hovers beneath professional guise, anticipation piques interest about slated match revelations. An engaging discussion carves exploration into investigative realms, confronting complex thoughts and igniting curious suspense behind fresh introductions. Newcomers gaze at futuristic wonders their surroundings present, enthusiasm guiding introductory inquiries that bridge gaps preemptively. Acknowledging previous ignorance, even the light situations bring gentle levity upon unfamiliar discoveries. In depths abundant with ideas, technological guidance sheds concise narratives. Navigating revelation requires perseverance, diligence shadowing moments afloat potential tips. Lofty insights bind comprehension toward unraveling broader engagements. In a simmering room flooded with ethos, discourse on shield techniques unravels. Strategy entwines through humor draped lightly upon their learning. Gestures convey pertinent observations honed by experience toward that emerging reality in waiting. Amid anticipation within tech-heavy boundaries, explosive outcomes challenge expectations. Nuanced concepts navigate curious avenues facing speculation. Potentials exist, advisedly laid as knowledge prolongs into intentions aligned beyond conjecture. Enthusiastic discourse incites curiosity across budding questions around gadget efficiency. Exploration roams within creative endeavors, encounters shaping their perspectives. Negotiations ride atmospheres edge atop playful relevance, inquiring adherence towards applied prowess. Wandering souls survey plentiful gadgets' valuations within metal-enhanced enclosures. The range marvels assurance purposes that require clarity. Reflective discourse sows intelligent decision-making, while casting modest aspirations into their modern arena. In a futuristic arena, excitement brews as a blond boy spots a blue mana shield, prompting surprise. The crowd buzzes in anticipation when a confident female announcer declares, "The grand finale is just 6 days away." The air crackles with electricity. Preparation begins now. Amidst a serene outdoor arena, memories flood a dark-haired young man's mind. An old battlefield, rich in challenge, awaits. As a vibrant announcer reveals the blue team first, the tension mounts. Anticipation sizzles as the red team reveal draws near. In a high-tech arena, the enthusiastic host announces the red team members: Changhyeon Lee, Hangyul Dajun Kim, and Jinseung Kim. Skepticism hangs in the air as doubts about building synergy arise. But suddenly, a shadowy figure stirs unease, casting doubt on straightforward strategies. Inside a research facility, bright lights illuminate the backdrop as a middle-aged man outlines high expectations. A girl in a pink sweater listens eagerly, while a blond boy's thoughts wander. The air is heavy with hope. An opportunity to truly shine beckons. In a dimly lit corridor, a tall young man exchanges words with an older, silver-haired figure. Curiosity piqued, he returns a card and receives a quizzical response. Suspense tightens around them. What secrets does the card hold? A dark-haired man converses about meeting the team president, hinting at the gravity of such interactions. The revelation of Chairman Lee leaves a young man flinching under his intense glare. Tension hums, foretelling possible conflict. Changhyeon, curious yet confident, confronts an imposing figure with silver hair. Their conversation dances around hidden meanings as smirks attempt to mask underlying tensions. Anticipation surges, ready for implications to unravel. In a dim research facility, a young leader reveals himself as the real president. Negotiation hangs dense as he demands to lead Team PBR. A smug elder considers, what changes a man's mind so quickly? A silver-haired man listens intently in his sunlit office. Skepticism tinges discussions about high-risk proposals. Meanwhile, another figure quietly surges with ambition, weapon in hand. New strategies with untested stakes. Are they worth the risk? Inside a polished office, tension simmers between a bespectacled young man and a stoic elder. Anxious words fill the air as ambitions contest authority. Who will prove right in this ambitious gamble? In the heart of a high-tech arena, Changhyeon claims leadership, bracing under scrutinizing eyes. Doubts linger in an aging contender as strategy takes form. Changhyeon speaks of strength, uniting a diverse team into a unified force. A young leader in a tech-heavy outfit details strategies on a futuristic board. Highlights flash between zones. Strategy evolves beyond mere fighting. Chairman Lee's wildcard swirls elusive changes. Every move counts as anticipation brews. Within confined quarters, a bold plan to challenge Chairman Lee stirs disbelief. Skepticism forces confidence against a legendary foe. Lesser powers rally beneath potential, forging new paths in the face of doubt. In a brightly lit conference room, frustration and skepticism spar between rivals. Tensions fray with manic energy. Power moves clash against Chairman Lee's prowess, challenging past limitations. Strategy evolves past chaos towards a new peak. In the arena, training begins, judges ready. Changhyeon squares off with team duties as Judge Yi Jo breaks down match details. Dummies spring to life with audible slashes sparking anticipation. The game's afoot. In a research facility dotted with sharp-eyed projections, a match strategy is outlined. Robotic figures wielding weapons tick clocks down to H-hour. The game plan's weight hangs thick. Each action now defines the outcome. A high-tech control room sets the stage as contra voices discuss upcoming finals. Chairman Lee, a lone wolf amidst 14, maxes tension. The air crackles with hope. He might not overwhelm. It all depends on next strategies. In a slick conference room, impatience taps in tune with mounting discussions. Expectation lovers clash. Outcome dreams ride on Changhyeon and Lee's unforeseen moves. Risks abound. The uncertainty dances within anticipated victory chants. In a high-tech battleground, Changhyeon's pose promises prowess headed against Chairman Lee's renown. Analysts crunch numbers. Stats are eye first. Hope weighs, stretching belief against daunting odds for Changhyeon's chance, clashing expectation with possibility. As a digital countdown hits 0, the arena morphs with eager anticipation. Hunters take center stage beneath panoramas of bright shapes. The competition roars hunters. Past speculations fade to the sidelines. Actions about to begin. Within a thrumming arena, a figure of determination addresses a team. Energy hums from surrounding crowds as battle-ready figures converge. Stage whispers resolve to history. Uncertainty gives way to resolve as they stride towards destiny. Amongst roaring support, a dark-haired orator launches the final contest, pronouncing rules akin to deity arenas, joining specters of a war-torn past. Present calm shrouds challenges pulsating beneath historic sword and shield, a contest of legacy. Narrative runs alongside dragon-touched towers, glimpses into the Hunters' League reality. Hunters on layered battlefields reflect chaotic challenges, hands ready over weapons as silhouettes emerge. Stone memories echo, shrouded in tales yearning breath anew. As plans solidify in rustic environments, determination speaks between allies. The game-one decision is irreversible. Observers circle, gauging approach semantics across streams of intent. In unseen roads, anticipation whispers. Anything can happen. Commentary banners fly amidst arena movements, silent tension cloaked. Team A reveals unconventional strategies, raising concern. No margin for error against myths brought by Chairman Lee. Calculated anticipation crowns their calculated courage. A youthful figure races through sunlit expanses, a reconnaissance purpose clear by swiftness. Eyes dart to neutral zones, teeming with bulkheads of exposed stone under a statuesque firmament. Enigma waits, a plotted line in time. A seasoned warrior smirks amid rubble, taking stock of stealthy moves beneath sun-dappled stone. Sudden exchanges with enemies crescendo under armored resolve, a dance of cunning under golden helm tutelage. Under lush canopies, Han Jin faces agile defenders. Each spacious motion resounds as swords clamor. His disappointment echoes from observing few. There's no room for failure as expectations shadow endeavors ever forward. Awe lingers in confrontation echoes, myths awaken as the ground trembles. Mysterious magic speaks of explorations old as time. Beneath ancient shadows, the story is retold, promising unraveling, in the battleground of the gods. Risk is palpable under shifting skies, a journey concluding as stone comes to life. Understanding catches between branches, tangoing with hunches as anticipation marks distant columns. The unerring chase begins anew. In a forest beauty cool, strategies murmur between doubt and courage. Giants stand witness as trust forms, building upon propensity. They weigh dangers without knowing. Each action becomes shadowless. Mystery goes unchallenged. A time of reckoning, stratagems ripple across statues beyond. Authority challenges under scarlet veils, shadows dampen choice. Yet defiance clouds triumph, works diverted to preclude impending mayhem across battlefield fields. Amidst moving rubble, the battle aligns with curious shifts. The ancient lore is redefined in thunderous roars. Intentions battle against surprise as the stage lifts with warriors' demand. Moment pivots. In forested undercurrents, speculation sweeps with suspicion. Cocksure entities set stakes, cloak ideas shuffle cloistered forms. Contest falls to arrayed glimmers. The story continues as grips tighten upon hidden fates emerging. Confrontation plumes as an elder maneuvers battlefield cannons, commanding explosive prowess. Ash and laughter twist against concerted strains. Prodigious muscle battles fate's chimera in resolute pulse-building thunder. Silver-haired strategist stands against commandeered might, a challenge still breathing innovations. Despite playfulness, youth retains combat reserve. Under ancient idols, challenges mount. Each clash strains towards valiant merit. Spectators ignite under strategic sparks. An aerial statue ploy unmasks a challenge unforeseen. Cheering cacophony climbs. A clever gambit consumed knowledge imprinted upon eastern shores. Power shifts. Changhyeon's foresight may steer victory. As ancient adversaries face each other anew, the ploy resets intensity resounding. A righteous shift reshuffles prophesied challenges. In era song echoes sound, vibrant strikes herald deepening rivalries eternally renewed. In realization's wake, shields deflect kinetic passion, a ricochet bathed again in setting sun. Strategy speaks as hunger bleeds, whispering of rarely tested pursuits. Honor rests upon precisely risked contents. Flushed future looms. Ricochet echoes assert known balance. Minute traces render dynamic impacts inscribed in terror's fringe. Youthful eyes rest assertively, Sturm gathering strength at edges desperately intercepted. Under sun's glory, companions merge their plans, shifting strategies commit to measureless resistance as time inches forward. Preparations placed, commands cascade, a pair's fateful gate unknown beneath awed affection. In wooded stillness, tasked dilemmas conjure teammates towards collective employment. Reticence thirsts for reason, only trust bids counsel against uneasy specters. Gossamer steps brush horizon's tired twilight. Within the glade, whispers instruct. Predictions akin truths spin into flight. Unexpectedness shadows in acquaintance's eye, step, by Hux's revered anticipation flourishes intention against encounters gather. Enthusiastic combat bounding forward, go where purpose converges against insistent eddies. Tactical edges sharpen within inquisition, challenge enormous prance beneath shouted jurisdiction. Each held course leads into unknown. Action instilled. A brawl erupts amidst pandemonium roots effusive potential binds expression beneath martial cry. From reflected nimbleness, clash answers question primordial yearns wounds aired on dust's clarity. Explanations electrify forest recess, nods trafficking calculation igniting inendurable urgency amidst pressure's cataracts. In fellow travel, safety presumes now, and now the voices end within echo. Twin blades in unforgettable axes lay questions claim beneath witness dustless gasp. Battle paints quicksilver footfall and adrenaline's flourish over cloth remnants. A warrior's cry fulfills the measure. Guardians shift towards pathless landscape. Universe enacts declaration when collisions build to manifest crescendo. Beneath predicted chaos, evolving ecosystem yields authority to rival's sacred sphere. Confrontation's clash asserts foreign device. A trust in confidence transforms discordity. As rival solutions leap into fray's center, prophetic quorum anticipates restorative moments destined by choice. Electricity encompasses hope born beneath retributory flash. A roaming challenge, unscripted calls consequence amid euphoric cannonade. Crashed symphony minds, declared intent folding action. In the vibrant forest battleground, Changhyeon Lee stands with determination, bleeding but not broken. His wounds heal rapidly thanks to the sanctuary's magic, but he still faces two fierce opponents. He strategizes, defeat monsters in dungeons or his opponents to power up. A plan forms as he charges with his sword drawn, ready for battle. Amidst the chaos, Hyu's team nears their climax. A blonde fighter plummets from a hit while his teammate, armed with a sword, showcases lethal precision. Nearby, a silver-haired warrior savors his battle bliss. But duty calls, they move through the forest, pursuit renewing the thrill of combat. In the dense forest, two opposing figures ignite conflict. A confident young warrior dismisses discussions, relying on strategy. His aged adversary, however, laughs at strategy's waning importance, preparing for combat with flames and fierce tactics. Their confrontation unfolds explosively, highlighting the intensity of old versus new. Amidst shifting terrain, the chairman reads his opponents with unnerving precision. But two strategists aim to overpower him, combining agility and force in a pivotal clash. Weapons meet with a resounding clang as the arena echoes with tension, marking the clash of will against exhaustion. Injury weighs heavy as a battle unfolds. A determined fighter strikes his massive foe, causing him to groan in defeat. Observers note the gap, Elite versus Division 3, a reality shattered by relentless blows. Yet hope flickers in surviving warriors, fueled by grit and rising tension. In a vivid forest arena, Hangul faces chaos. The gun-wielding young man remains calm, claiming foresight despite unexpected twists. Others leap into action, blades zooming through air. Suspense pulls taut, framed by nature's lively background, hinting at the balance between strategy and surprise. A violent clash in the forest tests mettle and skill. Defensive tactics meet aggressive advances, as shields deflect sharp strikes. The older man taunts his younger rival, asserting superiority with a well-timed attack. The moment hangs heavy, uncertainty tinged with fear in the young man's eyes. Facing a melee master, the young marksman acknowledges his disadvantage. The chairman gleefully wields his weapon, confident of his superiority. Despite the mismatch, the young man declares his intent to win, intensity simmering under dynamic movement. The battle's edge sharpens with every passing moment. Caught in a painful lash, Changhyeon reacts, a painful "ga" escaping. A blue-haired competitor readies a device to upend the scales, tension swelling into climax. Bright flares light the arena as the crowd holds its breath, anticipation crackling in the air. As chaos subsides, realization dawns on a woman at the control panel. Her stunned expression and her male peers' admiration hint at a pivotal change. Amidst rising dust, both marvel at a clever underdog's bold gambit, the arena thrumming with electric excitement. In a bustling indoor arena, new talent shines. The young fighter's mastery of mana elicits awe and admiration from spectators. Light-hearted banter punctuates the scene, contrasting the serious backdrop. With relief washing over exhausted competitors, camaraderie and rivalry mix, hinting at rivalries to come. In a grand auditorium, a dark-haired figure captivates an audience with his speech about the hunter's journey. As he emphasizes the qualities of courage and strength, the spotlight shifts to a poised woman, ready to accept honors for her prowess. Tension lingers, building toward something momentous. Surrounded by competitors, Changhyeon Lee stands, his success acknowledged by the announcer's declaration. Amidst the raucous applause and shining trophy, his face shows determination and surprise. Anticipation of the final stage looms, adding weight to his triumphant yet tense moment. Embracing victory, a character recalls past glories as a golden trophy becomes a symbol of reclaimed joy. Meanwhile, camaraderie unfolds in shared stories of growth and struggle, contrasted with nostalgia. But this triumph is fleeting, merely setting the stage. In a sleek office, Changhyeon Lee's claim to team leadership faces scrutiny from a wily competitor. Discussions of fairness and tactics reveal tension beneath the polished veneer. The stakes grow, setting the stage for alliances and confrontations alike. As conversations spark into negotiation, Changhyeon and the older man reach an understanding. A firm handshake seals their tentative alliance, embodying both opportunity and challenge. Outside, Changhyeon contemplates his future as world-shaping decisions await him. A bustling street leads to Morai Workshop, where Changhyeon and friends discuss customizing prizes won. Insights blend with questions as Mr. Lee explains customization versus standard offerings. A lively backdrop pulses with activity, hinting at evolving plans. In the sleek Morai house, Changhyeon prepares for his meeting. Greeted with surprise, tension grows as plans unfold in the elevator lobby. Anticipation fills the air, marking this as a pivotal moment in his ongoing journey. Inside, Changhyeon moves purposefully, aiming towards Conference B3. The ambient hum underscores their earnest quest for technological insight. As they approach the lab, anticipation heightens, foreshadowing revelations concealed behind polished glass and promising innovation. In the high-tech lab, Changhyeon discusses weaponry with curious newbies. Expertise flows as he reassures them, while diverse blades gleam in vibrant display. Understanding dawns amid shared insights, stitching excitement into the vast tapestry of potential. In the workshop, an engaging discussion unfolds about weaponry. Curiosity mingles with creativity as they examine a seven-branched sword design. Collaboration ensues, hinting at potential innovations as characters immerse in crafting visions. Crafting a weapon from mere sketches proves exhilarating, accented by surprised admiration from bystanders. Revelations surface about tailoring armament choices, steering contemplation toward Down's upcoming creations. Introspection anchors the scene in solemn significance. A flash of insight seizes Changhyeon as weapon enchantments unfold. Peers ponder aloud, seeking the essence of speed and precision in crafting. Fascination flares through the workshop, bridging imagination with engineering prowess. As the discussion progresses, weapon aesthetics join function in vital discourse. Tech transformation shifts gears into customization, birthing camaraderie. Here, amid decentralized innovation, disparate blades whisper towards a future beckoning unexpected shapes. In the futuristic arena, wonder envelops a young blade-bearer sampling new victories. Energy pulses vividly as teamwork spurs discovery. Weapons and their wielders intertwine, embodying transcendent tales forged in collective ambition. Impressive craftsmanship amazes, echoing through expansive branch networks. MORAS's forges highlight competitive innovation within vibrant vistas, each sword stress-tested to match symbolic strength. Preparation pivots towards revelations seated amongst glowing contexts. In Korea's MORAS Forge, anxious ambitions encounter opportunity. Prospects awaken amidst cautious enthusiasm, fueled by recent arena achievements. Skilled hands transform inklings into brilliance, crafting potential capable of redefining past perceptions. Hyuna Park addresses Changhyeon with tactical grace, linking dialogue to promise-laden decisions. Amid resonating soundscapes, innovative secrets tease possibilities unfolding, entwining bold ideas within sheltered precincts, an offer with undercurrents. Amid negotiation, a young aspirant negotiates terms alongside seasoned tech insights. Strategic purpose guides the unfolding dialogue, escorting terms through tempered engagement. Both parties grapple with potential outcomes, underlining competitive dynamics. Changhyeon Lee, seated and pondering opportunity, considers the swift offer presented. Enthusiasm merges with cautious curiosity as cooperative possibilities arise. A condition sits untouched, the narrative holds its breath. Caught in contemplative silence, Changhyeon evaluates the stakes under accustomed tension. Each exchange rooted in strategic desire magnifies implicit stakes, nurturing promise into tangible collaboration. What draws Lu to allegiance? The revelation magnifies perceptible tension as Changhyeon drifts from whispers. Persisting opportunity molds new gameplay futures in shared agreements. What befalls endeavors cleaved by unpolished potential?